Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. I am the Badass Buddha, Lori Monaco, coming to you from Eastern Tennessee. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Gail Craft on YouTube and Facebook.
Buenos días, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita, your gladiator guru coming from Connecticut. I love Connecticut, don't get me wrong. It just sounds so different after so long saying all the parts of Spain I was in. But here we are, so let's make the best of it. What's in your cup? As I'm drinking my coffee with cayenne pepper for a while
That's
now.
so funny that you said that. I was thinking that as I was making my coffee today. I said, boy, we haven't asked what's in your cup. Like literally, I was thinking, oh, let's talk about what's in our cup. I'm thinking of you, Gladiator Girl. I'm drinking Cafe Bustelo this morning.
Oh, I think we have Café La Llave or Café Caribe. I don't know which one was on sale at the time, but yeah. And then I do boom boom of cayenne pepper and boom boom of cinnamon. So it tastes good though. So what's
Oh,
in your
cinnamon
cup?
sounds good. Cinnamon sounds good.
Yeah, I always put cinnamon. There's a way I make my coffee since I don't do coffee pots or anything. I have the stirrer, foamer. So I boil the milk and then I pour it in the mug with sugar, honey, the cinnamon, and the cayenne pepper. Once it's boiled, and then I foam it. Then I pour the black coffee until it gets to whatever color I want. And then I go psh, of cinnamon. And
Nice.
that's
Very nice.
yes. Hola, Gail. Hola, milagritos.
Milagros. ¿Cómo está? Somebody decided to deliver something right when I'm like getting on, and I hear her talking. I don't know if she needs to talk to me. Hold on a second. You talk, Gladiator Guru. You talk.
So yes, I love coconut milk. Here we have lactate 2%, and I add carnation milk when I'm boiling it stovetop in a saucer. So I boil the milk. Un café con leche es riquísimo. You boil the milk while you're brewing the coffee through the colador, and then I blend it. I foam it while the regular milk and the evaporated milk is both in there, hola Silvia, and then the black coffee goes in, and then like that I can control how light or dark I want it. I don't add the coffee first and then the milk. I do the milk and then I slowly pour. That's just, everywhere else is different. Everywhere I go, it's like always the coffee and then you pour the milk. But you know what? I'm not like everybody else. So yes.
Good morning,
Yes.
Sylvia.
Oh, Kathy, good morning. I'm sorry I missed you at the
Kathy. I indulged a little bit this morning. Lately, I've been just having my coffee black, but I made chicken fettuccine Alfredo from scratch for my neighbor because he's been helping so much. So I had heavy cream, because I made it with heavy cream, and whenever I have a little bit left over, I just take advantage of that, and I say, I'm just going to have a little. I love having heavy cream in the coffee. It tastes so good. It's just this great little indulgence. And I'm like, I have a little bit. I'm like, I'm just going to use it for a couple days and I'll go back to the black. So it's not like I seek it out and buy it all the time, but that was a nice little thing. I have a question for you. Have you ever used a cold press? Have you ever used one? A French press, not a cold press, a French press.
Yes.
Have you ever?
We actually have one at the studio because it's easy because we don't have anything else. But the French press, yeah, I don't really know how to work it. Iris does.
But yeah, I don't either. I probably have to read it. But I have one. I've never ever used it. So a friend of mine gave it to me because she was moving out of the country, and I never tried it, but I have it, so I'm going to try it at some point.
Try it. It's easy. All you do is put the grounds in, then you boil the water, stir it a little, then you press it down, and just the delicious coffee comes out on top. And you
Yep,
pour it. It's easy
that's what I
breezy.
heard. Yep.
So we got that for the studio, because it's easy, but I don't use the only thing electric I use is the thing that boils my water, but everything else I don't like. You've known, I've shown you pictures of my house. It's always been the sock, the white sock, Milagro de Colador, even though Milagro don't drink coffee. And then now, since it's here, it's easy. I use that. I'm going to show you because I'm going to pour some more black coffee in my cup. It's this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty easy. It's easy to clean. And but back home in Florida, I do have tons of them. The white sock, the colador, old school way. I like everything old school. In my house, I didn't own a microwave. I didn't own a blender. I didn't own anything that was, I don't know, call me weird. But yeah, so coffee.
You're not
Anybody
weird.
say?
You just like it the way you like it. I mean, that's the way you like it.
Yeah, I don't like to depend on anything. It breaks, and then you're like, te vuelve un ocho. You don't know what's up from down because, oh my God, the dishwasher broke, and I can't. And it's just insane instead of just, I don't know. But anyway, did anybody say what they were drinking besides Milagros, who doesn't
Sylvia
drink coffee?
did. Sylvia says, I'm drinking a tonic after my morning coffee that includes cayenne pepper, cinnamon, honey, fresh grated ginger, lemon juice, and 3 ounces of warm water. Yeah, that's wonderful. It's great for digestion, and the cinnamon and the cayenne pepper help help balance metabolism, which is really nice. So I have my morning water before I drink my coffee. So I have a big glass, like a 12-ounce glass of water, and then and sometimes I'll have 2 before I drink my coffee. So I had one this morning. I didn't have 2. I just had 1.
I always have my little bit of salt water.
Nice. All right. So listen, today's conversation is exciting. Remember, we're coming down to the end here. We have 3 more shows. I couldn't get the word out. 3 more shows before the end of July. This is the bold month. Today's conversation is called Be Bold, Not Cold. And I'll give you a description of what we're going to talk about today. We're actually really excited about it. But before we get into the conversation, Gladiator Guru and I have an announcement. So today is Be Bold, Not Cold. And it takes courage to be who you were born to be. To be bold, you must be brave. To be brave, you must know self-truth and self-love intimately. Self-trust and self-love intimately. A bold person accepts constructive criticism. A cold person pretending to be bold becomes defensive, combative, and offended. Be bold, be kind. So that was written by Gladiator Guru. It's fantastic. So this is going to be a great conversation. But before we do that, we want to give a little announcement, something that Gladiator and I were discussing a couple of weeks ago. And we decided that we're going to take a hiatus for the month of August. We've done this before where we've taken, I think, a week off or 2 weeks off. I think a week off. But we've actually decided to take a full month off. And the reason we decided to take a full month off, she and I have there's a lot of stuff going on. August is going to be a very busy month for us, but we just wanted that creative mental break. And we're not going to leave you without something, though. We want to pose some questions on you. We're gonna mention them, and I'll put them in the chat, in the comments. We will do so over the next three shows, but we're also going to post it into some postings on the Viva page. And we want you to take it to these, consider these questions, answer these questions for yourself, so that September, when we come back, you will have the answers to your questions, and we want to hear the comments. The other little thing is that we decided also to go a little bold with our previous conversations. We used to do some really silly stuff, some risque stuff. So the month of September actually is, so we're off in August, and September is going to be the sex month. So Milagros, we definitely want you around. It's the sex month, and we spell out sex month, and each topic starts with that letter, that from, so it's an acronym. And so we're going to be talking about what you boldly did in August. Doesn't have to be sex related, what you boldly did. But within that conversation of that sex month, to have some fun and be exciting. Good morning, Janine. So, Gladiator Guru, if you want to talk a little bit about that, I can find the questions that you had sent me.
Yes, I think we're just giving ourselves grace, and we speak about this mostly since January. All the conversations we've had on Viva have been so powerful. The way the badass named the months, which I hope you go back and rewatch, because they're all very powerful to ourselves. So when you come to that, and then we're speaking on it, and we're creating the shows, and we're realizing, okay, we need to give ourselves grace. There is a lot going on, and it's just something that we want to do. We have to do. So in that, the badass is gonna ask some questions, because we would like. I think we said October, badass.
What?
Yeah, because September's busy with that month. For you to express.
Yes, we did. That's what you said. You're right.
For the sabbatical, yeah, I guess, right? For August, ask yourself certain questions. Who are you? What are you? Whatever the questions may be, I don't remember. And then we wanted to know, like in October, who would like to be on the show and express what they've learned since January with the August break. I think August is just a phenomenal time to take a break. Spain shuts down in August. They're like, fuck this shit. It's hot. It's the last month before fall, and the real work starts up. And I think that is so amazing, that a whole country gives grace to themselves. And what we don't do that enough. So let's learn how to do that for ourselves. Every seventh day, rest day, grace. So I think cultivating self-care, and as Gail said, to reset, we need to confront ourselves, and allowing ourselves to do that without feeling guilty, because there's really nothing to feel guilty about. We should feel guilty about having a job and working all year and getting a week off. That's like, first you should take time off and then work and then come back to it. A refreshed mind is such a powerful mind, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Yes.
Plus, we have a lot going on. We pop up here because we love what we do, and then everybody knows now that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right at 9, I have to get off, because then I have to finish with Savannah and have her in school before 9:45, and it's a bit much. I mean, coming into this position, and it's just giving myself grace to relearn, to accept, to set new boundaries, according to the new little people in my life. So it's a lot. We may think it's easy to just jump into this role and that role, but as individuals, we need to comfort ourselves. We need to allow ourselves to feel whatever it is we're feeling by whatever it is we're doing, and we don't give ourselves that grace. So here you are, Viva Cafe con Leche, sipping on her coffee, saying, I need a break, and we're going to do this. But when we come back, let's come back stronger. Let's come back awake.
So we put in the comments some of the questions, And we're probably going to elaborate a little bit on these. We're not just going to give you a few. We're going to give you lots of questions. You don't have to answer all the questions. It's more of pondering, thinking things through, answering the ones that you feel are more pertinent to you, more specific to you. Or you could answer all of them. It doesn't really matter. But you don't even have to answer specifically. It's just looking at them and saying, well, these are things that I have to think about throughout the month. So things like, what did you absorb? What did you absorb for the month of August that we're off? What did you move forward in? How has it changed your perspective this month? How did you end out the summer? And what is your happy progressive list going forward? So those are just some of the direction that we want to take you. And we want, and like Gladiator Guru said, it's about September is going to be like a fun month, kind of risque. And then October, we're going to culminate that all together. Gail's already raised her hand and she wants to be one of the participants on the show. I'm not shocked.
Yes.
And we want you to be able to sit and discuss this and say, oh, Kathy's got to go. Okay, Kathy, thanks for coming on. And Chanel, good morning. So it's that's the whole point, is for it really, technically we have 2 months to do this. And we want you to end. Remember last year we did each quarter, we did something specific. And then the last quarter, it was a review, and it was really like checking in to start the new year with bang. Well, there's a lot going on. This is an interesting year that's come. We're going to be ending in what could potentially be some tumultuous times. We have an election year coming up, and there's a lot already happening, and it's going to be crazy the last couple of months of the year. I don't like putting stuff out there, but I'm just being realistic that I think that that's really what's going to end up happening. So we have to be very much in check for ourselves. Like, we have to be very clear, very established, because there's going to be a lot of upheaval. So we have to be very clear on what it is that we want and what we're progressing towards, and to have a plan, have a backup plan, and have a redirect plan, because we don't know what actually is going to transpire. Could be nothing, but it's always good to know that we are resilient, that we can regrow, we can become something. And it all bases itself on knowing ourselves, living, breathing, walking our truth, and not lying to ourselves, is clarity of self, and having that baseline. And then from there, because the term, and we heard this a lot in 2020, time of uncertainty. You look back at that and all that fear that they put in, this is a time of uncertainty. When you look back at that, it really wasn't horrible. We just shifted, we redirected, and things could get worse, than they were in 2020. So nothing is certain, to be truthful. I mean, really, truly, nothing is certain. Nobody expected to get stranded at the airports when all the things went down. Nobody expected for the New York metro services to get shut down. Nobody expected all of that. So that's every day we live in a world of uncertainty. But the beauty is that we're resilient people, that we are individuals that can bounce back because we create that. And as long as you are steadfast and clear on who you want to be and who you are, then you will be able to redirect and spring back and move into a different direction and flow and all that beautiful personal development stuff, because no matter what, we will survive. No matter what, we'll keep going. So it doesn't matter what could be by the end of this year. What matters is who we are and what we want for ourselves. So you make plans for that, and then you make alternate plans, and you have plans A, B, C, D, E, and F, just in case A doesn't work out, B works out. You have a whole letter, 26 letters in the alphabet, and then beyond that if you want.
I think what you said is very important, and it's key. You said we were so filled with fear in 2020. There was a lot. um, that was going on, I think, in every city, and the closures, the different stuff. So, um, I personally, um, well, we started Viva there. I never held fear of what was happening. I didn't believe in none of that fear
Yeah,
mongering,
I
but
wasn't afraid either.
didn't wear masks, got thrown out of stores many times because I just don't believe in the BS. But for those that, for those of us, right, that we still had to continue with life and we had to run to the grocery store, which I loved because there was nobody ever around. Um,
Yes.
think back that all the fear you had and then where you are today. And I think that for those, for me, it was more prepare yourself because, of course, we weren't prepared, right? Mentally, emotionally, we handled it, unseen, on deck. Um, I think, like, for me, it's more about preparation. What do I have? Do I have the bag, ready to go? What's in place? Plan A, B to Z, as you said about the alphabet. But for those who were a bit paralyzed in fear, because I know a lot of people, even in my family, that would not leave, did not want people coming over.
Yes.
Um, Look back and the resilience. Look at where you are today. Don't forget those times. Don't forget the person you were, because we're not the same people, but don't forget the person you were there. And that can be your chart, your growth chart as well, as to, wow, this is what I thought was the end, but it turned out to be blah blah. And maybe you, in the midst of that, came out with something new, something different, an idea. You started a hobby. I mean, look at that. Don't only focus on the fear. So much good came out of that. It was, running a race with fear, but then you got to say, what did I come out with extra? And
Yes.
instead of, I was so afraid. And recently I had a conversation with somebody and they're still talking about the fear that they had with that. And what if something else happens? And that's why I was bringing this up. And it's, look back. You're a different person because of that.
Yes.
And that's what we have to understand. So when what the badass Buddha was saying about the election year and what might or what can be, you're gonna, you have that armor on already. You've created an armor in the midst of total surprise. I'm here. My name is COVID, and we lived through it. So now it's just a little mental preparation that anything can happen. So you have that armor, and I think that's what we got to remember, that we're badasses. We survived the pandemic, the fear mongering, everything. We survived everybody's bullshit plus our own. That was a heavy load we were carrying. So today, think back when stuff starts to happen closer to November. Think back to that. I got this. I can do this. Let me be aware of everything around me. How am I going to plan this? Because it's in you. So, and that's that. Oh, Nancy,
Right.
I'm
So
sorry.
let's yes, Nancy, we'll feel better soon. Okay, so let's talk about this because this is really, I love this. I absolutely love what Gladiator Guru came up with today. So let me reread it again. It takes courage to be who you were born to be. To be bold, you must be brave. To be brave, you must know self trust and self love intimately. A bold person accepts constructive criticism. A cold person pretending to be bold becomes defensive, combative, and offended. Be bold and be kind. So I know this to be very true. I know that when I was very stuck and very unhappy, I was very defensive because I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live, and I knew it. I'm finally there, and I feel very happy. I'm so happy to be where I am right now. I am busy as all get out from multiple directions, and I don't care. Like I'm not upset about it. You know, Gladiator and I were talking for a couple hours yesterday, prepping for the show, but also just chit chatting. And we both are at a point in our lives where, we start our days early because we have certain responsibilities. And then we go until the wee hours of the night because we have so much that we're doing. and we're both all over the place. We're both doing creative things. We're just doing them differently. Hers is in art. Hers is in creating her products. Mine is like doing landscaping in the yard because I want a certain look for when patients come to the door. And it's really hard back-breaking work. But I keep thinking, I go, man, I'm going to be buff at the end of this summer, and in the end, it's going to all be done. And I have a time frame because I need this to be done before I go up north. And I want it to be done so that the only thing that's left to do is maintenance. And after that, it's just maintaining it. And then the full focus goes onto my practice. But the thing is that I'm still seeing new patients. I'm at 1 or 2 new patients per week, and I'm fitting it all in. So my days are long. Her days are long for what she's working on. But we're not complaining. Good morning, Kimberly. We're not complaining. We are happy to be doing it because we are in the zone. We are aligning with who we are. We're being bold. And I've let go of worrying about what other people are doing or not doing, of putting my energy and focus onto other people and just letting them live their lives. That I don't have to agree with how they live their lives because it's not my business. And they don't have to agree with what I'm doing because it's not their business. So it goes both ways. And it's about just stepping up and saying, you know what, I have self-trust now. I have self-love. I deserve, but I'm the only one who can provide that. I can't rely on other people. I have to be the one to boldly step forward and trust in myself and be clear on what I want and what I don't want, and to ask for help when I need it, but know that if I don't get it, I can do it myself. To be clear on, okay, I can get this part done, but I'm going to need help on this part. Hold on a second. You talk. I got to take care of something. Go ahead. Your turn.
I think that I know that we are so capable of accomplishing whatever it is we have. I don't do anything. People think that I am impulsive and spontaneous, and I can be, and for the most part, I am. What they don't realize is the work that goes behind being spontaneous and impulsive, which is prayer. I never take a flight. I don't care if it's from here to Florida without first putting into prayer. Do I need to go now? Is this whatever? When I'm on that flight, I sleep like a baby. But after I said, Father Yahweh, guide us safely to our destination, or your will be done. And then I go to sleep because there's nothing else I can do about it. I don't stress. I'm not nervous. I don't fear what I don't know, because guess what? And so I may be a lot of things to people. That's why, discernment is something that has to be done, because when people view me, they view me as they want to view me, but I am who I am. And I don't walk around explaining myself. But I think that when we reach a point that we have to do something, inquire within. If you're in doubt, inquire within. If you're in doubt, look at yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself, let it come out. Say your prayers out loud. Let it come out. You need your voice to carry what you're feeling outside of you, so that then you can re-listen to it with open ears. And then, boom, it settles. And you're like, oh my God, that wasn't even that bad. Or why didn't I think of this sooner? Because when we hold it in here, it doesn't come out through here. It doesn't re-enter as a new idea, as a new question, or as a new answer to what the missing key to the locked door in your life. If anybody knows me, knows I love DMX. DMX before, DMX during, and DMX after.
It's also a little sexy, DMX.
He broke my heart, a lot of things. But there's one thing he talks about: no weapons formed against me shall prosper. And he was explaining that it may be formed, or this. It says no weapons formed against me shall prosper. Then he says, for the enemy of me is the inner me. the enemy of me is the inner me. And
Yeah.
everything we're talking about, even when I brought the discussion up to badass, again, people think I'm this spontaneous and impulsive woman. I sat with it. Is this what we should do? Is this what we can do? And then I didn't only look at it from my perspective. I tried to go by what the conversations we had and what she has going on without making any insinuations, because that's part of my discernment this year. It's just not to really be so quick to see something and say or create a whole story around it. But I think that's the writer in me. Like, I can see two people talking, and just by their body language, I'm already forming up a story, and they're my main characters. So it's like, but it's easy to be judgmental, so you have to catch yourself. It's a whole. I'm a very difficult individual. Sometimes I gotta tell my mind shut up. But what I'm saying is, so when you have these things, you try to look at it from every angle, but it all comes back to me. I This thought was born from me because it pertains to me. And I guess with all the doom that I was doing, it was all like just to put the missing pieces of my puzzle together to be, yeah, let me have this conversation because I need it. And then I had the conversation, and it's sometimes you just open a door that's been locked and people need the fresh air to come in. So I like Nancy. Again, I'm sorry that you're going through this. I hope you're comfortable. I hope you're drinking a lot of broth and a lot of clear juices, and um, let some sun go through your eyes. Go stare at the sun for a little bit. Um, Sylvia was talking about when she faced her fears in 2020, and the Badass Buddha and I speak a lot about 2020. Even though Viva was born in 2020, it still was I was caring for my mom. There was a lot of stuff going on, but we still pulled through. And I think that's our story. It's not, that's right, we're badasses. We started in the pandemic. It's just that in the midst of the pandemic and then all our personal issues, we followed through and something outside of us. And I think that's what brought us back to us, is that we stepped out and we had a chance to look at ourselves, not be all up in our feelings. And I think we need to do that. So when we step away from what we know, we can look back with clear eyes. The vision is clearer. The messages come through. And I think that's what we need to realize sometimes. Sometimes we just need to sit the hell down and shut the fuck up and let things come as they should come. Kimberly Sanchez is in the house. So, Madeline, what do you think about us?
Well, first I want to reply to Nancy, because Nancy says she's having anxiety because you're ill, because it's hard to breathe. Just relax, Nancy. Just look at it from don't worry about what it is that you have. Just be calm about it. Take advantage of the fact that if you're home today, that you can rest and you relax and let your body do what it needs to do. COVID is just a virus, really. It's just a virus like all the other viruses. Well, maybe it's a little different, but don't, if you're anxious, again, if you're anxious because you're having trouble breathing, if it's affecting your lungs that way, I get it. Just play something nice, for yourself. Take some quiet time, binge watch some things that just make you feel good, so that you just are relaxed, allow your body to do what it needs to do. Sleep as much as you can, because that's the beauty of how, who we are as humans. We are very resilient, and sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit. So just take a moment for yourself, Nancy. And we're sending our love to you.
Yes.
But so getting to what you had said, and looking at that again, there was something that I had wanted to mention, but we have to really check ourselves. If we are still reacting to when somebody says something, constructive criticism or cold, being cold or being defensive or combative. When we find ourselves to be that way, we have to sort of put ourselves in check. Now, it's not saying that you can never be that way, that you shouldn't be that way. Sometimes you have to defend yourself. Sometimes you have to step in. But if you're finding that every little thing that's said or done, it's so wonderful when you get to a place in your life to where you hear something like somebody says, oh, so and so was talking about you and they said this. Now, granted, I don't like to be even a part of that conversation. I don't even want to hear what somebody.
I'll be like, yeah, what you say to defend me.
And oh, that's good. But most of the time I could look at that person and say, you know what? I don't want to hear any of it. I really don't care. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they think. I don't care, But if it gets to me, like if I end up hearing it, and if I feel defensive, or if somebody says something to me, like I still have a little bit of a where I'm very good at, I'm still learning things as I go. Isn't that funny? At 54, still learning. I mean, we're always
not at
learning.
all.
But here, I'm literally becoming a farmer, and I'm loving that. Like I really am loving that. I'm learning what works, what doesn't work. What am I going to do differently next year? How am I going to? And what's interesting is my neighbor stopped by yesterday, and this is the guy that's been helping because he's got all the toys over there. So he's been helping till and he's been helping plow. So I made him a bunch of food, and we were talking about the garden. And one of the things he had sent me, I sent him a couple of pictures of what I was growing. And he made a comment about the squash, and he goes, oh, you picked it too late, the yellow squash. It's not supposed to have bumps on it. And I got defensive, right? And I'm like, but because I took it as he does like to give me a lot of constructive criticism. And there's a point where it's enough, like you're like, okay, I understand. Cut me some slack, So of course my ego got in the way, and I had to look this up, and I'm like, did I really, because I know how zucchinis and squash are. You're not supposed to get them too big. I never heard about the bumps. And so I looked up, and sure enough, he's not correct. There's two different forms of that squash. One of them smooth, one of them is bumpy. So I had the bumpy one, right? And so I had to tell him, like I had to feed my ego and tell him that, because it hit me a little bit. Again, I don't mind being on the learning curve. I don't mind admitting to the things that I haven't been able to do correctly. Like the broccoli and cauliflower, forget it, never came up, didn't do well. But there's other stuff that's doing really well. So after I sent it, I had to put myself in check after that. I said, okay, why was it so important for you to show him that this is, that what you're talking about, and he doesn't know everything, And then what was interesting is when he stopped by to pick up the food that I made, he's looking at the garden. He's going, boy, it really looks good. He's like, you really did a good job. And I felt better because instead of being criticized, he was not that I needed to hear it, because I know how the garden's looking, but we were finally having a conversation more like on each other's level. And sometimes you do want to defend yourself when the time is right. Again, I'm not saying I know everything about the garden, but there's moments where you say, well, I know that, and when somebody steps in, most of the time, if somebody steps in and they feel the need to tell me what they know, especially when it comes to healthcare, like not healthcare, but wellness, I let them talk. I let them talk like as if I've never known this before, and I let them say what they need to say because they have to say it. And I don't correct anybody, and unless it's like flat out wrong, but I just listen. I don't feel the need to prove to them what I know. And I'm glad I'm past that, because I wasn't just even a couple of years ago, even a year ago, I had to defend myself to say, I know this, you're saying this, but I know that too. And then I finally said, you know what? I'm not worried about it, because I know what I know. I know what I don't know. And what I know, I can always learn more of anyway. So maybe there's something that this individual is saying that I can gain more information of. And it was finally nice to be in a place like that, to feel like, okay, whatever, I'm good with that. Or if I'm not good with that, to be able to know that I'm not good with that, and then decide with discernment how I want to handle the situation.
Yeah. And I guess, you can be where we're at, um, but you can still get offended, like, or not like certain things. And I get it. You worked hard to be this farmer. It's okay. We have those little spurts. Like, what the heck? Let me tell you, the pictures of she should post them because her squash and all that other stuff look beautiful. Um, but even with me, when I created a piece of art, and some of my art is very neat and some of it is like my emotions splatter, real, whatever. And either way, it's my art. But then when somebody who doesn't paint comes along and says, oh, well, maybe don't you think you should have did this? And sometimes that grates on my nerve, like, go sit at the back of the room, please. And
Right.
only because, why, some people need to know their place sometimes, but when
I
it's
agree.
when it's constructive, or I don't even think it's some people showing off. I just think, like, they're like, you think so? But I think, I've done it, blah, blah, blah. And the delivery isn't as suave as it should have been. So now it looks like we're preaching. You did it wrong because I know how to do it right. And that's what I'm learning about myself with discernment. Is it's not so much that I'm purposely being rude, but it's just like when I talk to people, they're like something, I'll point like there. And they're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What did you ask me for something? I'm telling you it's over there. But I forget it's not the same people in my life that were in my life many years ago. That we had that, like my sister and I, we talk without even saying anything. I can say something across the room just by a facial something. But all of that, we have to learn, and then we're reminded of what we need to learn when
Yes.
somebody says something, right? We're like, what the fuck? I thought I was over that. Obviously, we're not. And we're not in it, but we're not over it, if that makes any sense. And I think that when people come to us in that sense that makes us, "Urgh," you know, "Rrr," then we got to say, okay, just like you said, why I had to, after I sent that, I was like, why did I have to send that? Why was this upsetting to me? First of all, we're humans. We're never going to get it right. And we're going to have those little moments that we're going to be like, ah, and, or I don't think so. And what? You're supposed to know it all? Like me, some people in my family, sometimes when I'm talking and they're in something and I say something and I'm giving advice and my life coaching kicks in, and then I get, shut up, you think you fucking know everything. And I'm like, wow, because I do. And then I get that, you know that Margarita comes in, because I do. Obviously you didn't, and now you're mad because I'm telling you how you should do it, but something you should have known what to do because it's family and I can talk like that. but but you see what it is. So sometimes we are a work in progress until our last breath. And
Yes.
when we realize that, we will not be so hard on ourselves. We can ask forgiveness from someone. Listen, I came out kind of strong. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. You don't have to go into detail if you don't want, but just the fact that you're apologizing, that's growth. But we're not going to get it right. And it's like with any life changing thing that you do, whether it's eating, whether it's exercising, we're gonna we're gonna have a cheat day, okay? Because we are not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to get it just right. We are of the flesh and we will fail. What happens in that failing is that we recognize it and get the fuck back up. When we decide we're not going to do this, I fell. And we're not as hard, and we realize we're humans and we're not going to be perfect, and we're a work in progress forever, then that discernment is going to be more of being kind to ourselves. Oh, Margie, you fell. This is like the third time this year, mija. Let's change our shoes. Those chancletas ain't working for you. You know what I mean? You change the avenue you're on. But to beat yourself up, the world does that on its own. Why are
Yes.
we participating in that?
Right.
We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to be brave and bold in accepting constructive criticism from somebody who knows, because you got people coming out the woodwork trying to give you constructive criticism, and you look at them and you're like, why is this giraffe talking to the ant? And that sounds like, oh, I think I'm above. I'm not above nor below anybody, but what I'm saying is sometimes why are we getting offended by somebody telling us something when we're not even seeing where that somebody's coming from? So, and I say that with all the love in my heart because my father was an alcoholic and drugs, but he was the best gardener that I've ever met. So it's not about passing judgment. It's using what's the word I'm looking for, badass?
Discernment.
Is it like when you look at somebody, you're not judging them for where they're at because we don't know where they came from? Because you can sit with the dirtiest homeless person, and they are the most savvy, sage, wisdom-filled individuals who just had a hard time. So that's why discernment is to be used evenly against everybody because you don't know what battle people are dealing with. You don't know what they came out of. You don't know what they survived. You don't know why they chose to live in the streets. We don't know. What we do know is that we have to be brave and we have to be bold and we have to make decisions that whether there's darts coming at us, we got to learn you know, how to evade them things, how to tuck and roll. Because all our lives, every day, there's going to be something coming at us. Look, right now I'm on the phone with you. My daughter-in-law's texting how there's a horrible accident on Route 8 and she's freaking out because the driver hit a deer and the deer flew up and did something else. So, and now she feels like her car isn't riding right. Every day we're going to be dealing with something, but every day you are who you are with room for growth. So when you're out there being brave, we're always going to be afraid of something.
Yeah.
Fear is not something. Fear is good sometimes. It keeps you on your toes. But
Yes.
yeah, it does, right?
Yes.
And you're gonna get offended by people because you work hard, especially when you're working hard on something, and you see it, and it grew. And like I said, badass, you need to post the pictures of your harvest because it's beautiful. As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my god, this is beautiful because it's life. She's growing something from little seeds.
Yeah, it was interesting because to me that's a little bit, not a little bit. That's quite a metaphor for me. The fact that here's this. I mean, I haven't grown a garden in years. I mean, years, and here I am deciding to plow up a bit of the hay pasture, you know, and grow something on soil that everybody says is really hard to grow on, and blah blah blah. I didn't think twice about it. I'm just like, let's get this going. And yeah, it's got its challenges. And I know what to do a little bit differently next year. In fact, that's what my neighbor and I were talking about. How as soon as the harvest is done, we're going to I'm going to cut everything back, but then we're going to till it into the ground um, in the fall. So that has all winter to sort of cultivate itself into like organic matter. I'm going to grab some manure from his horses and I'm going to put it all into the garden. And then we're going to till it 2 more times before we ever plant anything. And the thing is that in my head, this was a big garden. I wanted it bigger. He's like, I don't think you want it bigger. And I was glad that he talked me out of it. But I told him this time around, I want it bigger. I want to make it bigger, the space bigger, because I think I can handle it because I know, not I think, I know I can handle it because I know what to do differently. And the thing is that it was really interesting to see how I put stuff in the ground. You know, some of it I started to grow from seedlings, you know, like I plant the seeds in the little starter pots. And then some of them just said, no, you could just plant them right in. And I ran out of pots and I was like, screw it, I'm just going to put the seeds in and hope for the best. The irony is the stuff that I literally put as seeds took off. The stuff that I had pre-growing has been taking the longest to go in. So my lesson is I'm just starting everything as a seed. I'm not even going to really worry about that. So I'm amazed by it. I'm amazed at how big the plants are. I'm amazed at how much the garden has grown, what it's producing. It's mind blowing how much it's producing. And I'm hearing from friends going, gosh, my zucchini hasn't even come up yet. And I'm not thinking it going, well, mine must be better. Like, I'm not thinking of it. I'm thinking in the terms of each night I went out and watered that garden. I stood there and watered it. I didn't want to use it wasn't working to use the soaker hoses that I put in, and it wasn't working to use um, a sprinkler. And there I went and stood there, and I made sure each one got the water it needed. And I liked being out there. I felt like I was a part of the garden. I felt energetically to be there with the garden. Like it needed me to stand there and water it,
Exactly. That's what Gail wrote. I was going to say that.
And I feel like it's produced as a result of that, So when I look at it as an example for other things in my life, it's telling me that I have to take it and nurture. I have to nurture things. And I've not been good at consistently nurturing certain things. Nurturing relationships has been a really big thing for me. Here, I'm blown away at the amount of people that I know down here in the time that I've been here. It's ridiculous. Like it's a huge amount of people, but I can't forget them. I have to periodically send a text and say, hey, how you doing? I was just thinking about you. But I also have to do it to the people that I've known in my past, that people that I've met online, people that I have known from where I used to live. I have to take the time to do it because that's what keeps, people stay in your life for a reason. You stay in their life for a reason. People who move out and you don't hear from them again, there was a reason for it. Sometimes it's you don't hear from people in 6 months and then all of a sudden they come back, and I'm not judging. I'm not going to ask them, oh God, I haven't heard from you in 6 months. It's, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. That's wonderful. And I've decided that's who I want to be. That's the energy I want to put out. I don't want to judge situations. I'm not going to make excuses either. I'm just going to be. I mean, there's reasons why people do the things they do. A conversation I had with a couple of people, my ex and my daughter, over the last couple of days, was about people not getting back to you, or people. And I'm like, listen, you don't know why people don't get back to you. Don't make assumptions. Because
it's your own insecurities. It's your own need. That's why people are bothered when people don't get back to. I don't give a shit. Let me tell you something. And I sound so boom, but I've never had a problem with that. And I'll talk to people who have learned how to be who they are today. I'm not, because I've had to learn how to control my caveman ways. Okay. But I've met like family members that have learned mindset and everything. Now they're sitting there telling me how I should be, and I'm looking at them. I said, hello, this is me you're talking to. Yeah, but I didn't get it from where you're coming from, so now I learned it better than what you know it. So and that's fine. If that's your gig, that's your gig.
4 minutes.
But I always say when my little sister, and I hope she's on it. Anybody see my sister on?
I didn't see her come on.
She always gets upset when somebody doesn't call her. I can't believe so-and-so. Well, the phone, first of all, the phone works both ways in anybody's life, right? Both ways. If they're not calling you, you want to talk to them, pick up the phone and call them. Second of all, they get all worked up, all in their feelings. And then, like you say, 3-6 months down the line, this person's calling. Oh, now you're calling? Oh, you remember the poor people and blah, blah. Te olvidas de los pobres. And they go on. And I'll look at them. And that always bothered me because I like to disappear. We were talking yesterday, Badass, about the self-isolation stuff. I like to just be in my way. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to call nobody. When I was in Spain, Viva, and then if I in somebody's yard trying to text Laura, my phone would be dead most of the time. I don't care for it. Why? Because sometimes I need to be with me. I may not know who I am. I may not have understood what I was going through, but I know I needed just to be with this person, this outside person that didn't match my inside person. Do you understand? Sometimes we just need to connect. When you are upset that or mad that someone isn't reaching out, that they know I'm here for a minute, why aren't they calling me to get together with this and that? And it's only because within my family, this is what I have witnessed. Now, if you tell me we're gonna get together and I'm gonna call you and you don't, I'm like, what the hell? Of course, that's different. We've had a conversation. We were supposed to connect. 2, 3 days later, you want to connect. Now I'm busy. It's the person's insecurities of whatever the case may be. Why are you upset? First of all, ask yourself, why are you upset because they didn't call me? If you were that worried, call them and find out. Sylvia wrote something over here. I can't get it. I
Oh,
don't
we
know.
got 2 minutes, by the way. 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know, because then I gotta go. I don't know what I did with my chat. I touched it and it left. Oh, okay, here it is. Um, she said something about triggers are a gift to me. Why am I getting defensive? Is there something deep in me that is not in alignment to who I desire to be? And that is exactly what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's never about the other person. Never. It's about how you're receiving it. What is it that you needed the other person to feel within you because you're avoiding it? So you expect outside shit to fill the inside stuff, that it's an inside job. So that hole is never going to get filled. And that's what it's about. And we have all these new things, all this, what they call new age, all these books, all these podcasts, all these things that everybody's listening, taking a little bit and then going out trying to be professors. I've met them. I'm in close quarters with them. I have said something. I had a conversation. A month later, they're talking to me as though they forgot that I was the one who initiated this conversation. So I sit back and I just listen. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
oh. And then when they're done, I'm like, and where do you hear that from? Oh, I did. And then they remember. And I didn't even have to make them feel like shit, like the old Margie would have done. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I said that, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of
It's not.
whatever the case may be. But what I'm saying is try to stop lying to yourself. We say this all the time. Deja de engañarte. Discover the you. You're not gonna be like me. You're not gonna be like the badass Buddha. You're not gonna be like anybody else in this tribe. You're gonna be you. The beauty of it is you're going to discover who you are. You're going to realize what you're lacking and you're going to see what you have in abundance that hasn't served you. Then you start eliminating and adding. That's all it's about. It's discovering who you are and noticing what it is you need to do to be a better version of yourself. You've been a spectator too long in your life, especially if you're over 30. Let's start participating in your life. Stop the
Yay.
watching, stop the reading, stop the listening. Just fucking go head first and be the best you can possibly. You were born to be that you know you can be, but you're allowing fears and situations to keep you back. Enough with the excuses. Just be the best you that you can possibly be. And I hope that in October, when we come back after the hiatus and the questions that were posed out there, and you find, I don't care if it's like a one sentence, but something about yourself, that's going to be the start of a beautiful beginning for you.
Yep.
So
All
let's
right.
do this. Let's work together. I gotta go.
Yep, we got to go. So we'll see you back on Thursday, and you don't want to miss that show. It's called "What's Your Position," and we'll give you more detail on that when we see you. So have a great day today. We'll see you Thursday from the Badass Buddha. Remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
And from the who am I? Gladiator Guru, mi gente, remember to breathe in the beauty and breathe out your bullshit. Namaste.